Okay, geographers, let's get into this Tejon Ranch thing I want you to do. It's going to be some more georeferencing, what you did. It's also going to connect to the public land survey system, which you've looked at and fully understand after working with that. And it's a great location to see how all of this stuff really works, how it really comes together. It's one thing to look at the abstract kind of ideal sense for the system, but it's another to see how it plays out, especially in a place like California. Very big state, a lot of different relief features, low valleys, high mountains, things like that. So, if you're not familiar, Tejon Ranch exists over here in the mountains in between the Central Valley and the Antelope Valley as you're driving along I-5 heading into central and northern California. You'll pass it. You'll go through it as you're going through the hills. See these signs for it and all of that. And I have kind of show exactly where this thing is. I have in the data that you download. There's this PLSS geodatabase, and then there's the map, the California Tejon Ranch map from 1966. Now within this database, there's a California data set. That's got these two things I'll talk about. And then there's a Kern County one specific to just Kern County, which is what we're in up here in this area. So this is LA County down here, Kern County right there. And so with that, that's more specific to this spot. In here, let's drag in, oh, actually I already have it in, I already dragged in this PLSA. I don't know why it has the A, it should be an extra S. But if I click that and turn it on, these are the sections for Township and Range, for that public land survey system. And the odd shapes in here, these represent Mexican land grants that were given prior to California becoming a state, and they were upheld and kept. And then the other areas that weren't given away, they got this square shape to them, right? So this is Tejon Ranch, this blob, these multiple shapes right here. So the result of a Mexican land grant. And it actually gets way more evil. There was a case where it was actually given to the indigenous Californians here, and then the Tejon Ranch people tricked them and wound up buying it from them, and a whole, great example, great history of Euro-Americans swindling people. But, here we are. So that's the Tejon Ranch area. And if you look at this, you can see that these beautiful squares and this whole grid system that Thomas Jefferson envisioned, it's a mess, right? There is stuff, weird rectangular things, wavy lines, all sorts of stuff, just not quite working, quite lining up. And that has to do with the fact that this is mountainous. This thing was being surveyed back in the 19th and early 20th century with, not with the latest GPS technology and all that stuff. Not the prettiest work. There's also plenty of stories about corruption, about people getting the job to go out here, spending the money on booze, just playing, for a couple of months or whatever. Then, when it's time to turn in the work, turning in the sloppiest, most awful survey work ever. So that's what we got. Also, another issue we have, let me zoom out. I don't know if I can show it in here. Yeah, here we go. So like we've got this line here. So if I click on this guy, where are we? We've got, so this is just kind of, generic stuff. But once we get here, section 33, okay, of Township 32 South, Range 29 East. If you've done that PLSS stuff, that makes sense to you. But this is the key thing. Meridian, this is the Mount Diablo baseline and meridian. Okay, that starts up in Northern California, out in the Bay Area. That's the starting point for that baseline and meridian. Those are the lines we're counting off of, right? Right here, underneath it, got all that information, but this is the San Bernardino baseline and meridian. So not only is it a difficult area to survey just in general, but this is where these two baseline and meridians meet up, where they crash together here. And we have multiple. We actually have a third one up in the northeast that we don't have to worry about. But we have multiple ones because California is a big state, and you need to be able to, survey in these initial baseline and meridian lines, be able to reference them. We had to have three altogether to be able to survey the entirety of the state. So this is a perfect mess of things coming together. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're here, so you can see it. So that's that. Okay, now with this is from the state of California. This is the Public Land Survey System data. I also gave you in here this, let me turn this off, this DRG24 feature class. And what this is the location of all of the different topographic maps, these 1 to 24,000 series maps, like this Tejon Ranch one that we're going to look at. It's a very useful reference, just if you're working in an area. You need to know what USGS map to look up. It's a handy thing to have. And what you could do, in fact, let me turn this off. Let me right click here and label. Okay, it's the Tejon Ranch map. So this is the location. Now what we could do is we could utilize this thing to at least start out with our georeferencing, right? I could come over here. I could zoom in to the area. This is where I want my map to show up, okay? The problem, though, is that this state of California stuff, it's not the most accurate, okay? And it's because it was drawn and designed for, a massive scale, what we'd call a smaller scale, meaning showing a larger area. It's a reference for the entire state. It's not for doing local work in one area, but rather for getting the big picture, right? So we could use this, but there's a good chance it's going to be off. Same thing with our public land survey system stuff. For many years, I thought this was good. I mean, of course, the state of California made it. Why would they go to all this trouble? There's a lot going on. It should be pretty accurate. Turns out, no, it's not. It's, again, good reference, but not very accurate for where these boundaries actually are, where these section lines are. Kern County realized this, and years ago wanted to have a good GIS reference layer, and that's what's down here. So we have an individual feature class for the sections themselves, one just for the townships, and then we have these Tejon pseudo sections. Okay, so let's bring in the PLSS sections first, and what I'm going to do just an outline there. That'll work. So you can see with these that these lines don't actually line up, right? Let's do that one. I don't know how visible that is. You can see, let me do a different green. I don't know what maybe that's a little better. But you can see those green lines are off, right? So the black lines, the ones from Kern County, those have been meticulously put into place. They went through, this was a job luckily I didn't have to do. Back when I was doing work with them, somebody else had to do this stuff. But a case of looking at survey data, ensuring that this stuff is exactly where it needs to be. So tough work, but a very useful reference as a result. And with these, same kind of deal, township, range, section, some different labeling stuff in here too. So that's how we read that. Okay, let's go back here. The townships thing, you don't really need to worry about. This is what we're doing. But then let's pull in this tone pseudo sections, which is kind of cool. With this, and so I've got this, still having this error where weird colors pop up. But with this, the pseudo sections are where they've drawn in these section lines, effectively extended what's there, and based off of other survey data and stuff, from what I understand. But they've kind of extended that stuff, so it goes into the land grant, useful for, again, locating things and all of that. So that's there, okay? So here's the deal. I've given you all of this public land survey system stuff. I've also, and this is a rookie move on my part, yeah, I gave you the latitude and longitude coordinates for the corners. What I should have done, let me open this up. So yeah, I gave this to you. I should have made you do this, but I'm getting soft. And I forgot this was in here when I uploaded it, and so there, you got that. You don't have to do this hard work. But here's what I want you to do. Okay? You're going to georeference this Tejon Ranch map in here. And in fact, let me pull it up. I have it. Where did it go? All right, well, I don't have it up anymore. So let me bring it in this way. Add, are you thinking? Come on. I think we're thinking. Okay, so with this, you're going to bring it in. You're going to do your georeferencing. There you go. Yes, let's do some statistics to speed you up. Unknown coordinate system, error in the upper corner. Yep, I get it. It's okay. But from here, remember, if you go to raster layer, or not raster, imagery, right? Imagery, yeah, georeference. Click on that. I'm just going to fit to display so we can see it. I said fit to display. All right, it's thinking, well, that's what you're going to do, okay? When you have that general area. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove these things. I'm going to turn off, because it was underneath you, dummy. That's why. It's because I had too much stuff going on. And let's see, can I get rid of that? All right. So there's the map. What you can do is start out with your table here, right? Remember, create points from the table. Now, in order to figure out which coordinate system you should use, because remember, that's a part of that, creating these points, you want to use the map itself. Either, come on. Let me get out of here. There we go. Either, pull it up separately in some kind of image viewer, or you can look at it here. Might be easier to look at it outside of ArcGIS if yours is moving slowly and all that. Be a better resolution as you're zooming in with this stuff. But you want to look at what we call the map collar down here for this information. So we've got the latitude and longitude lines here for the corners, okay? But in this spot, this is rough. What it'll tell you, and what you would see, there we go, it's slowly coming in, is that the projection is using the 1927 North American datum. So your coordinate system should be the geographic, just NAD 27. Very simple one from the geographic coordinate system. So track that one down. That's what you're going to use there. All right. Then from there, once you have those points, you can kind of initially put these things into place. But what I want you to do is utilize these section lines, use the pseudo sections if it's in fact useful in here. You might have some of the stuff that's helpful, you might not. Great, they're testing fire alarms. If you hear that, I'm safe. Don't worry. So yeah, use these things, and what you should wind up with is let's go back here, a control point, from our adding control point stuff, for every single corner of every single section, right? I want you to go to town, use this whole deal. And what you should find as you're doing it is that based on this map and this part of the world and all that, it really starts to tweak the image to properly fit it into place. Okay, so that's the idea with this, what you're going to be doing. So it's an exercise in georeferencing, but also just seeing how these different data sets work, how complicated this stuff can be in reality, why it's important to think about who produced the data and at what scale were the data produced, what were they to be used for, that kind of stuff. So do that, your final map. I want you to have a georeference map, but also have these lines in here so we can really see how it lines up. Go ahead and actually have, so I'm just making these things hollow, but have multiple lines. And God, this is a train wreck with this whole color issue. Hopefully it works on yours. If not, if it's hideous like this, make a comment in the submission comments thing when you turn this in. But your end layout should be the map itself, these different lines, show the difference between the state of California lines, the Kern County lines, but also have these overlaid so that we can see how that map is fit to them and have a legend in there to show me what's going on. And go ahead, zoom into a certain part of the map. You don't have to show the whole thing, but you can, give me something like this, where we've got these pseudo sections and the real sections and the map itself, right? So I can see all of it, throw a legend in there, and you're good. You dig? All right, have fun, geographer. This is so much fun. And the good news is it's going to give you this experience. It's going to make you dangerous by the time you're done with this class and this whole program. Good luck.